Ladies and gentlemen, a very, very warm welcome to Minister Malcolm Noonan, Minister Darragh O'Brien, and Provost Dr. Patrick Prendergast on the occasion of this very historic announcement. And welcome to the Long Room in the Old Library, often called the most beautiful room in Ireland. It could possibly be the most recognised interior in Ireland. Built in the early 18th century, it's perhaps the most important Georgian building in Ireland. It's a protected monument of national and international significance, the inspiration for many other historically important libraries. Originally called the New Library when it was completed in 1732, the Old Library is at the centre of the beautiful campus of Trinity and today houses some 750,000 collection items. When finished, it actually had a flat ceiling, and it was only an innovative engineering solution to a problem with the roof that the soaring barrel-vaulted ceiling was installed in the mid-19th century and gives us the glorious cathedral-like feeling of today. Visitors often walk in, stop dead in their tracks, take in the soaring arc of the roof, go wow, drop their voices and take a photograph. That very strong sensory experience, which we've all come to appreciate even more in a pandemic world, is also a hint at why we need to embark on the redevelopment of the Old Library. Historically, universities grow up around their repository of knowledge, their libraries. Trinity's campus is an oasis of delightful squares in the city centre, with the library at its very heart. By definition, that also means the campus is essentially an inner city roundabout, and all that particulate pollution is coming into the library and accumulating on the books, which are our most valuable and unique items. And the sweet smell that visitors comment on is in fact the smell of deteriorating leather and paper of the books, and reflects the fact that the environmental conditions here in the Long Room aren't adequate for such a vulnerable and valuable collection. Most urgently, the fire prevention and fire suppression systems need improving and upgrading. Anyone who saw the shocking images of the wooden spire of Notre Dame Cathedral ablaze on the Parisian skyline will understand the pressing need for such improvements. So we need to conserve this historic building and protect and conserve the collections within, which include the UNESCO Memory of the World item, the exquisite Book of Kells, and over 800 medieval manuscripts representing the greatest collection of Irish medieval manuscripts in the world. The extraordinary collections range over early printed books to Samuel Beckett correspondence, Dean Swift's Death Mask, 3,000-year-old Egyptian books of the dead, Oscar Wilde material to Brendan Kennelly's literary archive. But this is a working library used by students and researchers here and internationally. And in fact, half of the fellows who come to the Trinity Long Room Hub Arts and Humanities Institute come precisely because of the library's collections. But we also hold these collections and steward them on behalf of the nation. James Joyce called the Book of Kells the most purely Irish thing we have, and hundreds of thousands of visitors come to see it and to drink in the marvels of the Long Room. So this is fundamentally a once-in-a-century urgent conservation of a sublime building for its 4th century. At the same time, we're also creating an inspiring new research collection study centre for students and researchers overlooking one of the beautiful squares. We're creating a completely new Book of Kells exhibition for our visitors, putting the Book of Kells within a national and a broader international historical context. The exhibition already contributes so significantly to Dublin as the second most visited destination, and we're creating greatly enhanced facilities for all our visitors. And finally, we're creating a new free temporary display space to present more of our wonderful collections and to showcase our students and our researchers' findings. We've got an outstanding group of experts working on this project, including the internationally renowned architects Heneghan Peng, who worked on the comparable National Gallery of Ireland project. We've got Opera Studio Louter, exhibition designers in Amsterdam, who worked on the exhibitions in the Louvre, Abu Dhabi, and the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. The construction phase will be creating demand for many specialist skills, from archaeologists to conservators, from geologists to environmental experts. And in consultation with multiple agencies such as the Heritage Council, the Irish Georgian Society, Antashka, Falkshire Island, we were delighted to be awarded planning permission last year by Dublin City Council for a very elegant, integrated design. So we're now planning the complex removal of all the 750,000 volumes, the multiple marble busts, the Brian Boru harp, the very symbol of the nation, and empty the whole of the old library so that conservation can begin. And the first step is to create an alternative reading room for our students and researchers in one of the other libraries, because we are committed as a working library to keeping all the collections accessible and available for study during the construction period, which will last for about 3 years. So welcome again to what's being called the front room of the nation, where we're very happy to welcome visiting heads of state such as Joe Biden, twice, and Queen Elizabeth exactly 10 years ago. Given its importance for Ireland, we are delighted that the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage is supporting such a major part of the funding. So welcome again, and I'd like to hand over to Minister O'Brien. Thank you.
Gurmíle maithagad Helen agus Provost Prendergast asach de cura bheith I Oscail in Trinity new tá sé dochreta. It's really incredible, unbelievable to stand in such a magnificent room as this is. And I know, speaking for myself and Minister Noonan will address you shortly afterwards, that this is a national treasure. And if I could say at the outset to pass on the personal regards of our Taoiseach, Micheál Martin. I spoke to the Taoiseach earlier on this morning, and he's genuinely so disappointed that he can't be here today, because he's taken a personal interest in this specific project to ensure that the heritage, this national heritage and treasure that is Trinity and the long room here is protected for, as you say, Helen, for the 4th century in its existence, and really for our own department to be able to make a significant contribution to ensure that this project now can move on and move on at pace is something that both myself and Minister Noonan, our Taoiseach and our government are absolutely delighted and indeed honoured to do. But I'm acutely aware we do this on behalf of the people of Ireland, and this university has been at the centre of events in our city over centuries, and has been a place where people can take a break for lunch who are working in the IFSC or on Dawson Street, or for our students who come in here to learn, or for our tourists indeed. The 900,000 visitors that come each year to see the magnificent Book of Kells. And for me to see the Book of Kells for the second time in my life, and the first time in over 30 years at such close quarters, is really amazing, and as I have to say, is an absolute high point, certainly of this week, but I can say of this year. It really is for myself, Provost, and for Helen, a great honour to be here on behalf of the Taoiseach, on behalf of our department, to formally announce our funding and our support for this project. And we look forward to seeing, how this moves on into the future. The exhibition, the new exhibition that's planned for the Book of Kells and the other magnificent manuscripts dating back to the 8th and 9th century will be an incredible visitor attraction for everyone, for our own people, for people from abroad. And this is what is not just I don't see it as an investment. It's preservation is what we should be doing as a country. And you have mentioned yourself the terrible, awful scenes that we would have saw recently in Notre Dame, and a national treasure in Paris, and the destruction that happened there. That will not happen here, and I know that the work that you're doing with this funding to further bolster this magnificent facility will be so important. And I look forward to coming back in 4 years' time and not leaving it for another 30 years to be in this very room again. So it is a great pleasure for me to be here. I want to wish everyone at Trinity, I want to wish you, Provost, the very well, and the incoming Provost, Linda Doyle, all the very best in her stewardship of this project, but also in what's been a really tough 14, 15 months for all our universities for our students in particular in trying to, work through their own studies through this pandemic. It is great to see us as a country coming out the other side and talking about a post-pandemic world. And that's why a day like today, I think, is really significant too, because this is a good news. It's Jan Uach's on Old Skull. It really is good news for the university. It's good news for our people, and will ensure that this project moves forward at pace. So, Gura Míle Maith Agaibh Arís.
Provost, Helen, ladies and gentlemen, it's like Minister O'Brien has said, it's a great privilege to be here in the old library in Trinity College. Very emotional experience, I have to say, to see the Book of Kells here today. Like Minister O'Brien, it's quite a number of years since I've seen the book, and it's just such a beautiful national treasure. And I think from our perspective, and I think from the government's perspective, we're really thrilled to be part and to support this project. It's no doubt the largest single conservation project in the country that will be and will be so for many, many years to come. There's no doubt about that. And I think it's reflective of our commitment in government, a renewed commitment towards heritage. We've seen over the past 14 to 15 months the connection that people have had with their built cultural and natural heritage, the value that they place on these, and I think it's in informing our government, we were mindful that we wanted to reflect that, and we wanted to reflect a renewed investment in the state's heritage assets. That will be reflected in Heritage Ireland 2030 when we launch it later this year. But it's also reflected in our support for projects like this, important projects. And I think that, as Minister O'Brien has said, right up to Taoiseach, there has been a huge support once we discussed this, and I think it's been really important to be here this day to celebrate what will be a really wonderful project that will involve the professional work of conservationists from around the world. There'll be a learning experience here, a huge learning experience, because there isn't a project like it perhaps anywhere in the world on this scale. So I think that will be of benefit to everybody and to conservation professionals. And I think as we learn from that experience as well, I think it's important to record and document the experience of the conservation work itself, because in that itself will tell a story, and probably lots of stories that are uncovered behind the pages of the many thousands of books that are here. So we're absolutely thrilled to be part of it. I want to thank Minister O'Brien. The Department of Heritage has moved across to the Custom House where it was for many years previously. And I'm very grateful that Minister O'Brien has shown a huge level of commitment towards our heritage since the government has formed. He's been an absolutely incredible advocate for it. I'm delighted as Minister for Heritage to be part of that journey and that great body of work that we're about to do over the term of this government. And like Minister O'Brien, I look forward to coming back, perhaps visiting as the project evolves, because I love to see the process as well. I think that's really important, not just see the finished product. But there's no doubt that this is not just a national treasure, it's a global treasure. It's a treasure of international significance. And from our perspective, we're just privileged and proud to be part of it. And we hope that our investment will spark a wider community of investment to help this project be seen to fruition. I just to thank the Provost and Helen for the short tour this morning. It was really such a privilege. It is quite emotive and emotional, to see such treasures so close, and to have that privilege. And I think we're all so grateful that you and that Trinity have been custodians of that treasure for so long, and that we now, as a result of this announcement today, we are confident and assured in the knowledge that stewardship will continue for many decades and indeed centuries to come. So it's a great privilege to be here, and a great privilege and a pleasure that we are announcing this support for this absolutely incredible project here today. Gura Míle Maith Agaibh.
Ministers, Provost-elect Linda Doyle, colleagues, friends of the Trinity Library. It's a great day, and I'm delighted to be here in the long room of the old library with the Minister of State and the Librarian. This venue is all the rationale one needs to explain the vital importance of the old Library Redevelopment Project. Here we are in the most beautiful room in the country and one of the most exceptionally beautiful libraries in the world. We're in the presence of priceless manuscripts like the Book of Kells, treasures like the Brian Boru harp and the 1916 proclamation. And what we see around us is the tip of the iceberg, the visible manifestation of the hundreds of thousands of early printed books, manuscripts and archives which the library has collected over hundreds of years. The Book of Kells was recognised as a UNESCO Memory of the World in 2011. I'd argue that the whole of the old library is a memory of the world. The Book of Armagh, the Book of Leinster, the 1641 depositions, the Annals of the Old Masters, the Fagel collection, the Proclamation. I could go on. We hold the sole copy of some of these historic documents. And the word hold is instructive. They don't belong to us, they belong to all of humanity. It's our responsibility to safely preserve them for future generations. Just as it's our responsibility to safeguard this historic building, which dates from 1732. That's why the Old Library Redevelopment Project is vital, why it's urgent, and why we convene here today in gratitude to the government for their transformative donation of €25 million. On behalf of the Trinity community, I thank the Taoiseach Micheál Martin, who has taken a close personal interest in this project and who visited the library in person last December. I thank the Minister for Housing, Local Government and Heritage, Darragh O'Brien TD, and the Minister of State for Heritage and Electoral Reform, Malcolm Noonan TD, for coming here today personally to make this historic announcement. We know money is not easy to find, but we got a sympathetic hearing when we made the case for the national importance of this project. The national significance was understood from the start, including the specific issues we confront in preserving and safeguarding this building. The government understand that this is a once in a century, indeed once in many centuries, preservation, renovation and redevelopment of a unique national icon with its priceless holdings. Thanks to their understanding and generosity, the project is now advancing. The Old Library Redevelopment is one of the central priority projects of our philanthropic campaign, Inspiring Generations. With this campaign, we're asking support for key capital development initiatives and for funding professorships and studentships to bring new talent to Trinity. The Old Library Redevelopment resonated deeply with alumni, friends and cultural organisations, as well as with the government. This is a measure of what this space and its treasures mean to Ireland and to the world. I'm delighted to have this opportunity to acknowledge the support of Fáilte Ireland and donors Carl and Murray Grigor and our other philanthropic supporters who have contributed to this project. Dublin City Council granted planning permission to redevelop the old library last autumn, and the project is being undertaken by award-winning architects Hennig and Peng, who so successfully revitalised the National Gallery. Some of the development will be invisible, such as the conservation and safeguarding against fire and natural disaster. Digitisation, on the other hand, will be visible and visible throughout the world. And the Research Collection Studies Centre, a new exhibition, is going to remake the whole experience of visiting the old library. Already, in autumn of last year, we saw the first component of the renovation, the new Book of Kells Treasury and Display. As the country and the college opens cautiously up after one of the most challenging years that any of us can remember, it's wonderful to be here, celebrating the protection and renovation of this national treasure. I thank the government and Minister O'Brien and Minister Noonan. I thank them on our behalf and on behalf of the people of Ireland. This library has stood for hundreds of years a proud marker of the cultural heights this nation can achieve. Its precious manuscripts and treasures have existed, some of them for more than 1,000 years. Through your generosity, they will be protected for 1,000 more. They will continue to inspire us and inspire the generations yet to come. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of us all, to the Irish Government and Ministers O'Brien and Noonan, thank you.